Happy New Year, everyone. I hope that you're all well. As some of you know, I produce, mix, and master music here in my home studio. And in the last few years, to say the least, I collected a sick amount of gear. And in today's video, I'm going to run you through what I think are like the key pieces of gear, equipment, instruments that I can't live without. And what are some of the things which I'm not sure about, or maybe that I stopped using or have already sold. So with that, let's have a look. It's hard to focus on just one thing because one thing on its own won't work, right? You need at least a number of things to produce sound. So let me organize this where I start with infrastructure and then look at instruments and then look at processing. So here you have a view of the small studio, but very well equipped by now. And the first piece of infrastructure that I would say I can't live without is the MacBook Pro M3. There's an upgrade a year ago from the iMac Pro. And this is great because I've got one unit which is both mobile and super powerful. So totally worth the investment. Sticking with infrastructure, I would say the piece that I appreciate a lot is this Argosy Ultimate desk, which has the height adjustment, and I demonstrate this in a different video. But this desk is great because it's ergonomic, and the 19-inch rack units mean I can have within arm's reach the key units that I want to use. Sticking again with infrastructure, I invested in high quality converters because, why bother to, create high quality sounds if the conversion going in and out is compromised. And I got some of these secondhand. So I got the Solaris, which is digital analog conversion, right? So everything that comes out of the box being converted into analog goes through the Solaris. And this thing's amazing. I wish that I had a second one that I can connect to my monitors. As it is, I've chosen to connect my monitors digitally. This Solaris sounds amazing. Now, analog digital conversion, so coming back into the box, I have two options. I have also from Crane Song the Interstellar, and this is a very detailed, clean sounding converter. So it tends to be punchy, very, very detailed, very clean, maybe sometimes a tad sharp. The Burl B2 Bomber ADC in contrast is it's got flavor, it adds warmth and saturation, and that's because it has a transformer before the converter, and you can push that transformer. The harder that you push it, the more that it saturates. This one is the MK1, which apparently saturates even more than the current version, which is MK2. And I got the second hand here, which is great. More infrastructure. A change in workflow for me was I found this Mackie analog desk, and I've covered that as well in a video, which I'll link to. And this is an old analog desk. It doesn't have any digital connections, no USB. And it's been discontinued for at least 10 years, but I found a brand new one at a secondhand shop that was still in plastic, as if it had been in a time capsule. Now, all of my synthesizers come in through the Mackie, and then I've got like send effects, right? So each of these styles is a send effect, right? Mono, so if it's stereo, I have to use two. And then here I've got my returns, like delay return, reverb return, which would be these pedals here. So I use this as delay, and I've got some reverb pedals here. So that's been a great kind of epiphany to use this desk, even though it's really, really big. It was not easy to integrate into the studio. Infrastructure. Now, obviously, we can't produce music if we can't hear it. And I have these Genelec, the ones 8341 three-way coaxial speakers, where the mid-range and the tweeter in the same place, and then you have two woofers here on the side. I think they're a tad clinical, but for my purpose, they are really, really good because I can adjust the curve using the GLM software with that Genelec provides, and they do miss a little bit of bottom end, but to solve that, I got the evil subwoofer here onto the desk, which is the 7360, if I'm not mistaken. So together with the subwoofer, the Jennies do a good job for my purpose because this is a small room. One day I will kind of explore whether, you know, ATCs or other speakers make sense. Probably in retrospect, I would have gotten the 8350 one, slightly bigger ones, so that I would have more bottom end without activating the subwoofer. Now, you might have seen from my other videos that I used the flock patch as a patch bay. So that's become something that I also wouldn't want to live without. So I've got two patch units. I've got one here and one here. They're connected together, and it means I can quite easily change the signal flow. So right here is a mix bus, but if I wanted to switch to like a mastering chain, I just have to, I have these preset kind of things, but you can treat them as plugins and just change the order. I demonstrate that workflow as well in a different video that I have where I show my mastering workflow. There's quite a bit of focus on the flock patch, so you can have a look at that there. So my sound interface of choice for quite a few years has been Universal Audio Apollo. So I've got an Apollo X4 and an Apollo X8, but I only use it for the, let's say, the software, because I'm always using these converters to ensure that the conversion is highest quality. I know Universal Audio gets a lot of flack sometimes, but I have to say their software is really good, and these units, they work really well, right? The Thunderbolt connection, and I do use the plugins a lot, which I can use at zero latency within Luna, which is great. Now, in terms of controllers, I've got some other controllers in the closet that my friend Erik from Rapid Flow uses that I haven't yet got to grips to. I've got these Soft 2 Console 1, not the latest version, and I quite like them. Like, I've tried putting them away because sometimes they take too much space up on my desk, at least they did in the old configuration. But I do like it like this because I use this to control the channel strip, and I use this to control the different channels in my DAW, and that works well for me. Now, let's move on to synthesizers and things that make sound, like instruments, I guess you would call them. I'm going to have to say that probably my favorite synthesizer is the sequential Prophet 5. And I have obviously a desktop unit here. It is mono, and it just sounds great. It's got such a round sound. You know, I usually send it through a bit of reverb and delay, and then you know, that's working really well for me. So I wouldn't want to live without the Prophet 5. It would probably be the last synthesizer to go if I was forced to sell some. Probably my other favorite synthesizer is the Vermona Performer, right? Which is kind of like having 4 different synthesizers, and this thing sounds fantastic, especially if it's you know, if I send an arpeggiator to this, it's really an amazing synthesizer. This is a sequential Trigon 6. I picked this up at 5G in Tokyo, the famous synthesizer shop, which I have made a video tour of that I'll link to. I also love the synth. It is stereo. It is different than my other synths. I use it in a lot of tracks, and yeah, this one would not go as well. And I guess I am quite into the sequential stuff because I do have the OB6, which I use quite specifically. Like I like the very 80s, very silky sounds, and in particular these kind of filters here, when you turn up the frequency and this one down at the same time, or vice versa, gives a very nice effect that I use a lot in my music. I also picked up this Roland TR606 also at 5G Music in Tokyo, and it is quite specific in what it does, right? You can't really dial in the sounds a lot, but that's what I like about it, the simplicity. And for that, I had to get this desync module that changes MIDI into desync, but it's all working really well. And the reason why something like this, or any of the synthesizers that I have that are working with step sequences or doing percussion where it's got to be exactly in sync, this is the ERM multi-clock. In that context, I couldn't live without this, because what it does is it sends MIDI to 4 different channels. And if it's a bit off, right, like it's a bit slow or it's a bit fast, I basically can adjust, push it forward or push it backwards, which means I can make sure that everything is in sync while playing live, which is really quite an essential thing. So the keyboards have moved to this side of the room, and I'll start with the Prophet Rev 2. So it's another sequential synth, and this one sounds, I think, a little bit thinner than the others, but it's lovely to have the keyboard, and it's very versatile. I got it for a really good price secondhand in mint condition, so I'm going to keep this. The Moog Subsequent 37 is a beast for bass. I use it for a lot of bass lines. I should probably use it for more than bass lines. I am keeping this. It is something that I use on almost all my tracks. The electric piano here, the Roland RD88, I use this to practice pianos, to improve my composition skills, and having a full keyboard with weighted keys and an electric piano that produces a nicer sound than VST pianos, in my opinion, is a good thing. Sticking with instruments for the moment, yeah, I think those were the ones I used the most. Now, which ones have I used less? Well, I got this Boomstar SEM, and I have used it for bass lines. It's a kind of synth with attitude, in the sense it growls, it clicks, you'll never be able to set it up the same way twice, which is what I like about it. I could live without it. I think it's very nice to have. Maybe I need to dial it in, spend a bit more time to dial it in differently in different tracks. This is the Erik Synths Perkins HD01, which is a kind of funky drum machine, which I got recently. I don't use it as much as I hoped I would. I think the sounds are a bit harder than fit in my music, but I like it that it doesn't have any menu diving. I like that it's just got, the sequences here that are easy for me to dial in and see what's happening, and I like that it's got just knobs that I can turn and play with. In my closet I've got Analog Rhythm from Electron, and I never liked the menu diving on that. It drove me nuts. What have I not used much? I bought this because Erik of Rapid Flow said he used it on a track that I liked, and I still need to test it out. I just haven't had time. The Typhon limited edition from Dreadbox, I just got this at the end of last year, because I tested it at 5G in Tokyo and I liked it, but they didn't have it in stock, so I got it secondhand here. I've not even used it once so far, so that has not. I also play guitar, so I've got a handful of guitars, but by far my favorite guitar here is my Les Paul custom Alpine White, which I got a few years ago, and it just sounds freaking amazing. For me, it had special meaning because I was a big fan of that man there, Randy Rhoads, who played with Ozzy Osbourne in the early 80s and inspired me as a 12-year-old. So that's the guitar I love the most, but I also have this semi-hollow D'Angelico, which, you know, for completely different type of music, I do like a whole lot. And I've got this Ibanez Prestige, which is a very versatile guitar. Like, it'll make a lot of different types of styles. I don't use it as much as I thought I would. So this is the Marshall 1973X hand-wired tube amplifier, and this thing sounds amazing. It's a bit loud for my room, but I've been using this because it has bottom end that my smaller amps just don't have. So it gives me a better sound, and I've been recording using a AEA ribbon microphone, which I really like the sound of this ribbon mic, and I usually plug into the Neve 1073. So in terms of preamps, this is my favorite one, is the Neve 1073. It just sounds really, really good if I plug in a microphone either for guitar or vocals. This one just sounds the best. I also have the Universal Audio LA610, which has a tube preamp, which sounds amazing. I mean, just the way that colors the sound is amazing for example, voiceovers or certain vocal applications. I don't really love the optical compressor that they put in there. They say it's the same detector as the LA2, but it doesn't really sound great. So, but you can turn it off, right? You can turn it off and just use the tube preamp. So now that we've covered infrastructure and instruments and this guitars and stuff, maybe we look at processors, which I use a lot. And I guess I would start with, well, I already covered the converters, but those are essential, right? You can't go in and out without good converters. I think the first item that I bought years ago is this Neve Portico Master Bus processor. So it is a compressor, Master Bus compressor, but not only, because it also has these kind of widening tools which sound really, really good. And they've got silk, which is a little bit of saturation. So I'm not in love with the compression in and of itself. I think I'll show you the compressor that I think sounds a bit better in terms of compression purely. But this thing, all in all, if you add in the silk and you add in the kind of stereo field processing that I can do here, like widening, it just creates such a nice sound. So I use this a lot on my mix bus when I'm rendering files before mastering. I also can use it in mastering, but if I'm doing my own music, I just use it on the mix bus. And I like to, leave some dry signal in, so it's got all of the features that I would want. Now, the compressors that I think sound better in and of themselves is here you have the Wes Audio NG bus compressor, and this thing is a beast. It just can add so much punch to a mix or a master. And obviously this one, the Wes Audio, integrates with a plugin, so you have perfect recall. You don't have to remember the settings. And it's incredibly versatile. You can switch from dual mono to stereo to mid-side just in the unit itself without using the SPL Gemini. So for units that don't convert to mid-side themselves, I'm using the SPL Gemini. And this converts the signal into mid-side and then back into stereo. But I can also trim the balance between mid-side, and it's also got more stereo width that I can push. So this unit is good because I use this to make the Manley mid-side, and this is also one of the, I would say, most expensive units in my studio, and it is not perfect for my purpose in the sense that it's a traditional tube equalizer. It sounds great in many contexts. It does round off transients and have a kind of like a vibe to it, and that vibe and that rounding off of transients is not always what you want for techno or electronic dance music. Sometimes you want it to be punchy and clicky, right? So this thing sounds great for tracking. It sounds great for mastering some tracks, maybe less so for others. The recall is difficult though, right? So I've got the non-stereo version and it just doesn't have dented, right? There's so many potential positions that you could have it in. So it's quite a bit of work for me to note the recalls. To address the, let's say, shortcomings, or let's say the challenges that I have with the Manley, I very recently got the Zal EQ1, which is a much different equalizer in the sense that it is very direct. It doesn't have that extra vibe. It's very precise. It does not add harmonics. It just boosts and cuts what you want it to do, but it's still musical. And I've been using this now as my corrective EQ at the beginning of the mastering stage. So you can see for my last master, I was cutting quite a lot of lows, and actually I remember that I had cut a little bit of 6.5 and I had cut a little bit here before it went to the other processes. Since I'm here anyway, I'll explain what these other 500 modules are. These are a set of mono preamps by Chandler Limited, the TG2, and they tend to accentuate the mid-range and add a kind of harmonics in the same way that the Neve 1073 does that in a nice way. This does it with a slightly different flavor, but these I have dedicated to my synths coming in. So basically, when the synthesizers play through this desk goes into the flock patch, and then I usually route it into here, which means I can set the levels here already, and it adds some nice a nice texture and presence to the incoming signal. The SPL Big, it's another thing that Erik from Rapid Flow recommended to me. It is a stereo image bigger maker, they call it, and it sounds really, really great. Whether you're using a mono signal or even at the end of mixes or masters, if you use very gentle settings, like you can see here for the mix bus, I've reminded myself to do about 3-3-2, and that's been working really well for me. So those 3 units for now I'm keeping, although this one is brand new, so I'm in the testing phase. But my first master of my own track, published recently, I used this and it sounded great, but I ended up using this in combination with the Manley later in the signal. So I had thought that I would ditch the Manley, but it turned out that the Zal was great for corrective and the Manley still added so much vibe to my track that I was like, damn, my doubts about the Manley might not have been, well judged. So yeah, I'm keeping the Manley. Sticking on EQ, I have a Carnaby HE1 from Crane-Born Audio, which is a harmonic EQ. So what this does is it doesn't just boost sounds, but it also is creating harmonics and saturation at the particular frequency range that you're affecting, right? So it is kind of like an EQ and saturation box in one. I really love this to push a bit of highs, even the lows. It makes the bass come out by adding saturation to the signal. It can really make certain sounds come out in a way that doesn't happen with the Manley nor the other EQs that I have. Compressor, the distressors. I got the distressors in the Netherlands from Lobus Audio, who sometimes have really great deals. And what I like about them is that they have different kind of settings that add a bit of distortion, saturation, and you've got the kind of high pass, right, filters. So you've got a lot of settings. You've got, I mean, you can really you can go really, really extreme with a ratio to, 20-1 or a nuke. So they're very versatile in the sense that you can use them to really smash drums. You can use them on vocals. I tend to use them on synthesizers coming in, and I like the sound. Only thing I don't like is that it doesn't have a wet and dry setting, right? It's just, it's going to compress the signal. And if you want to do a parallel, you're going to have to set that up yourself. So distressors I'm keeping. Below that is the mastering edition of Elysia's Envelope, which is a impulse shaper. It's like you can adjust the attack and sustain. So it's kind of like a transient designer in the analog realm. It's also got an EQ built in, so you can, for example, if you set this in mid-side, you could, for example, adjust the attack and sustain of just the mid part of the signal while using the EQ to boost parts of the sides. For example, I have not used it as much as I thought I would. Sometimes I don't know if I hear it quite as much as I should, while other times I hear it a lot. So it's something I'm still experimenting with. So it's something I've had for maybe half a year. Next is the Better Maker Mastering Limiter 2.0, which is a nice unit. I mean, the build is really nice. It's integrated with a plugin, so you can operate just the plugin, get perfect recalls, yet it also has a very nice touchscreen and knob. So this is input level, output level, so I can adjust. Right, so here you can see P1 button is connected to the clipper setting. Right, so it's got compression, it's got a clipper, which sounds great. It's got mid-side processing, which sounds great. And it's also got a color module that'll add saturation at different frequencies in either mid or side. So you can change select different frequencies for mid or side for that color module, which sounds good. One of my favorite processors is the Rupert Neve 542 tape emulator. I love the way that these sound. So what they do is you've got tape, you can set to either 15 or 30 IPS, depending if you want a bump in the low end or in the mids. And you've got silk, red and blue silk. So that's the same silk that's on the Master Bus processor. And I tend to use this on my mix bus, and sometimes I use it for mastering as well. If I put it on a whole mix, I tend to dial it in very conservatively, so it's just like quite subtle. But I love the sound of these. I'm really, really a big fan of the Neve 542. So you'll see here that I've got some Wes Audio 500 series, and here you see the Prometheus, which is a Pultec style EQ, but without a tube. It is sounding good, but it's not very precise, right? It's very broad strokes. So in that sense, I still needed to get the Zal EQ1 for corrective, specific, adjusting specific frequency ranges, while this one is limited to quite broad strokes, right? But it does sound good, and I'm keeping it. This is the Pandora, and the Pandora is a multi-band compressor, which is something I am scared of because you can really pull apart a mix. So far, I would say the Pandora is one of the least used units in my studio, just because each time I try it, it doesn't sound as good as, for example, when I'm just using the NG bus. So it's kind of cool in the sense that it can be used as like an EQ, because each band doesn't just have compression, but you can adjust the relative levels. So for example, if you can compress the highs like crazy, but then push up the level. Each of the three bands has settings for attack and release, as well as THD, the total harmonic distortion, right? So the jury is out on this one. I'm going to keep it, but if I don't use it in the next while, then it's probably going to go on sale secondhand. This is the RIA, which is like a Varimu type tube compressor. And I do like the sound of it, but as is the case with the Manley, tubes tend to round off transients, which for dance music is not ideal. When I bought the Pandora, the idea was to sell this one, but when I tried to unscrew it, I scripted the screw and it's kind of stuck, so I'm screwed. And it stays until I, find a way to drill that out. Last but not least are these Dynaudio BM5 passive speakers, which I bought from my friend Erik, who does Rapid Flow, when I lived in Amsterdam and he lived in Hamburg probably 15, 16 years ago. These were the speakers that I used to produce music when I was just starting, and they were great. And of course, I've kind of outgrown them now and upgraded, and I don't mean to desecrate them by using them as like little handy tables, but I didn't want to throw them away. I just wanted to keep them here with me, and they do kind of function as currently I've got some stuff on top of them. I almost forgot about these. So these are the III wireless headphones, and they are charging right now. And I really liked them until they stopped working. So I use these when I don't want a wire connected to my head when I'm recording guitar or doing different studio work. And they have like low latency connection via this thing. But that connection won't seem to connect anymore. That suggests that they may be broken, which is very kind of uncool. They are not even a year old, so I'm hoping they're still under warranty. So, they if they are broken, that's not very impressive. I also forgot the VSX headphones, which my friend Erik also recommended to me, and I don't have time to unpack them, but yeah, keeping these. They're super useful to listen to mixes as an alternative to my Jennies, and that does help me both mixing and mastering to get my mix to be really balanced and working. So it's another extra reference next to my Jennies, and actually, honestly, this is better than I'll talk about it later, but the Aventone Mix Cubes, I got those, and yeah, I didn't like them. So I realized that it sounds like I'm keeping everything, and that's partially because I kind of reorganized the studio a couple of months ago to accommodate this big mixer, which meant that this moved over there, And it was also a chance for me to sell some items that I didn't use much. So the Electron Analog Rhythm, I haven't sold it yet, but I'm not using it. It's literally in the closet. For me, I know people can make great sounds with it, and it's cool to have an analog drum machine with a lot of, let's say, options. But the menu diving drove me nuts. And even when I make a good sound with it that I think fits in my track, it doesn't sit quite well in the track compared to alternatives. So that didn't work for me. I sold a Moog Mother 32 semi-modular, one of the smaller synthesizers. I don't have a big problem with it. It's just that it didn't do anything that I couldn't do with my other synths. And I'm not really deep into modular. So someone offered me a great price, and I sold that. Same with the Moog Subharmonicon, which I bought because I had heard that it was so unique in terms of the type of synthesis, and it did kind of create unique sounds that made their way into my mixes, but ultimately it didn't do enough for me that I wanted to keep it, and someone offered me a good price, so I sold that. I bought Aventone mix cubes that I thought would complement the Jennies to show how my mixes sound on smaller speakers. And I know that they're supposed to sound bad, but oh man, they just sounded so bad that I never used them. And it was clutter, so I've put them on sale, and someone's going to pick them up on Tuesday. And yeah, a number of guitar pedals and little gadgets and things that I've sold. I'm going to sell, as I mentioned, the smaller Marshall amp. And a number of these items, yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to keep them. I'm not sure I'm going to sell them. I just need to take a bit of time to use things properly before I make a decision, because it's kind of stupid to buy something, not use it, and then sell it, right? You got to take a bit of time to give it a chance. And I haven't done that enough for some of this stuff. So which gear am I undecided about? I think I mentioned some of them before, but here I've got the Vermona kick Lancet. I literally haven't used it yet, but I wanted to create my own kicks and process them through some of the gear that you saw before, rather than using, like, you know, samples that other people created. So that's work in progress. I got this like effects pedal, the Vermona Retro Verb, and it's mono, so I prefer stereo effects, because when even mono synths are running in through here, it's coming out as stereo, and of course I could run just one side of a stereo signal, would be the same as mono, but nonetheless I haven't used this much yet, but again I have to give it a chance. The Night Verb I have not used very much. Again, I need to give it a chance. It's just something that I got that's relatively new. I mentioned also that this puppy here, it doesn't cost much, so it doesn't mind to keep it. I've literally not set it up at all, so that's just something I bought and I put here, and all it does is blink at me, as is the case for this one, which yeah, it's just like a decoration with lights to me. I don't use it at all, but I'm not going to sell it because it potentially, I think I could use it. All right, so I think that just about covers it. So that's my review of the key hardware pieces that I've been using here in the studio in the last few years. I might do something similar with software if I find the time. I certainly hope that this has been useful, or at least interesting to some of you out there. Take care, everyone, and see you around.